In a new book coming out, Elizabeth Warren is quoted as to talking about how people told her directly that they would vote for her. Presumably they liked her policies, but they wouldn't because she doesn't have a penis, because she's not a man. And I think there's a lot of truth to this. I think societally, we'll look at here in a second the specific article about this, but I think societally there's definitely this tendency where people have a hard time looking past the veneer or the vibe of a politician, a president that they're used to. So there's that. And then on top of that, sexism, of course, which that is sexism, not be able to look past that, but then more overt sexism. So I do think what I mean by that is I think there's a block of people who in theory think they would vote for a female candidate for president. But when it comes down to it, they think, she doesn't seem presidential. And the reason they believe that is because they've been conditioned to believe a man looks presidential. That's all the presidents they've ever seen. That's kind of who society sees as being that type of leader. Of course, y'all know I don't believe that. But then the other side of it is there's actually people who think, woman can't be president or something like that, which obviously is absurd, I think. It's about the candidate, not about their gender. And so we'll look at here and then respond a little bit to what she has to say. According to Elizabeth Warren, reading from Mediaite, a lot more people would vote for her if she were sporting make genitalia. How does she know this? Apparently, people just say it to her all the time. Warren's revelation comes from NBC News' Ali Vitelli's new book, Electable: Why America Hasn't Put a Woman in the White House Yet, which contains accounts around the 2020 election cycle, including comments from Democrats like Warren and Hillary Clinton. An excerpt from the book was published on Friday by Politico. Warren made the comment while in campaigning mode during the 2020 Democratic presidential primary, according to Vitelli. We talked about the dynamics of Iowa, her competitors, and the pressure she put on herself not to screw this up. But here and now, she offered her plainest view of the landscape yet. Everyone comes up to me and says, I would vote for you if you had a penis. According to the book, these voters are just as brazen in their comments to the Warren staff. One campaign organizer recalled that a 60-year-old white woman with peace sign in her front yard told her, "Oh, sweetie, this country will never have a woman president." So I think it's shocking that people just say that to her, but I do think that's the sentiment of a lot of people. And again, I think it's, maybe you even do three camps. You have the first camp that is genuinely trying their best to see past that, but then whenever it comes down to it, they feel like the male looks more presidential because they've been conditioned, and that's who they see in power primarily, at least in the presidential role. And then I think there's a second camp that's in between, that's like, maybe they think in theory they would vote for a female candidate, but they don't think other people would, so then they don't vote for that one because they don't think they're electable to other people. And then there's a third camp that's just outright sexist and thinks a woman literally couldn't do the job, which is the most absurd position, but I think all three people should not have. So my baseline thought on this is we have to get past this as a country. We are missing out on so many amazing leaders because we won't societally look past this preconceived notion we have that a man is the one who could be a president. A man is the one who could do that job, who could handle that stress. We know that's not true. We've seen great, profound leaders who were women, absolutely. And there are particular tendencies of females that I think we're missing out on in those high positions that we could end up seeing a lot more effective governing if we had more of them in power. And so I think it's definitely believable what Elizabeth Warren is saying, and I'm sure that's something that tons of female politicians deal with. Now, is that to say that Elizabeth Warren herself would have gotten elected if she was a male? I don't know. Obviously, she had a kind of splitting the very progressive vote with Bernie, so that would have been an interesting clash. But I do hope for a day when people can look past that, and I think it's an active effort you have to make. I think you have to very purposefully and aggressively force yourself to see past that, because I think when you've only ever seen male presidents, you're going to think that a female looks less presidential, but you don't have to, and you can see past that and judge them as a person, their character, as well as their policies, without focusing so much on the kind of veneer that you're looking for. And I would encourage you all to do that, because like I said, I think we're missing out on as a country on very amazing leaders because we tend to see males as more leader-like, and that's definitely incorrect.